Hey everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and you know what time it is now. It's the end of the year. It's time for us all to talk about our favorite games that we played on the Nintendo Switch in the year 2024. And when I say we, that means that I'm not alone. I'm joined by the fantastic, always astounding Alex Olney.
May we?
And the incredible and never late Felix Sanchez.
May GameCube.
I don't know what you guys are talking about right now, but thankfully, we already know the objective of today. Today, we're going to be talking about my favorite Nintendo Switch games that I played this year. We already recorded and released Felix's list of games yesterday, so if you haven't gone and listened to that video yet, make sure you go give it a watch. We'll have a link to it in the description down below. You've got a lot of good games on there, Felix. Some that really surprised me. You added some onto my backlog, so thanks for that.
You're very welcome. Hopefully you'll add some to mine.
Yeah, and we look forward to hearing Alex's tomorrow.
We do.
To kick off this list, I'm going to talk about the first game that I played this year that I really loved, and that was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I know you played this a little bit, Alex, but Felix, have you touched this game yet?
I've not, because I was a silly boy and didn't buy it when it was on sale in my electronics shop, and now I regret it every single day.
Don't worry, it's a Ubisoft game, so it will keep going on sale.
Hell
I think
yeah.
is a bit of a downfall for the overall sales of this game, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about the overall quality, and to me, this game it's top notch. From the voice acting, the character designs, the cutscenes. The game is just like overflowing with this like sort of anime style. It's very surprising. At times it doesn't always feel like a Prince of Persia game because it's very much it's a Metroidvania. It takes so much inspiration from Metroid Dread, which I know you both have played and loved very much. Me as well. And to me, this game is right up there with the quality.
Ooh. Don't get me wrong, I love Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, but to say it's as good as Metroid Dread,
I think the thing is that it borrows a lot of elements from Dread. I think in its presentation and its snappiness, but it's also still very much a Prince of Persia game. Like, one of my favorite elements is the fact that like throughout the game there are all these little like puzzle rooms that really just require precision platforming, which is kind of what made the Prince of Persia games so special back in the day. The series has always had combat and it's dipped into the 3D realm for years, but at its core, Prince of Persia is a platforming game about dodging spikes that shoot out of the walls and automatic arrows, and this is still very much a Prince of Persia game through and through. The combat has all sorts of like fun little twists. You start off with just the main character Sargon, who isn't the Prince of Persia, which I know a lot of people like.
Big twist.
They had a lot of flack with in the beginning.
he's great though, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's very witty and very like stays true to his heart. The boss battles and the overall flow of the game is it's a fun ride to go on. One of the earlier bosses, I when I first demoed the game at an event, just had my heart racing. I couldn't put the controller down. It's one of those games that I think it's going to be remembered for years and years to come, because it's not only it's a special Metroidvania, it's one of the best Prince of Persia games out there.
And maybe the last, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks Ubisoft. I mean, they tried hard with this game, actually. To be fair, they tried really hard.
Oh, the team did an incredible job. Yeah, it's the bigwigs upstairs, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
The only interaction I've had with Prince of Persia is playing it at my friend's house. I don't remember which one it was. I just remember you could run on walls, and that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
There's a really cool, like, you can't run on walls in this game, but there's a really cool like nod to that. And anyone who plays
awesome.
will see that. That's the thing, is that this game really is like it's a very sweet love letter from Ubisoft to all Prince of Persia fans. They do a good job. But speaking of platformers, the next game on my list with some tight platforming and some smooth and somewhat simple combat is Neva. I love this game to bits. Even if you don't like love games with tons of combat or that tight, intricate platforming, I think the art style alone, the music, there's so many things to love about this game. It's short. You can finish it in 3 to 5 hours. There's lots of fun collectibles that can push you further. But really, like, just the art, it's one of those rare instances where the concept art reflects the real art of the game. There are so many different moments where the camera pulls back or gets close, and I just wish I could hit like the print screen button on my Nintendo Switch, aka the screenshot button, and print that out on the printer that I don't actually own in my home and put it up on the wall, because there's so many just lovely moments that I want to remember And with it being such a short game, I suppose it is the kind of thing that you can go back in and replay again and again. And I think I will, because there are, even on the Switch version of the game, there are achievements baked into the game, and that's something that you don't always see. And you get achievements for petting the dog, the wolf dog, which, yeah, I haven't really even spoken about the gameplay much. But so you play as this girl. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but that's because there's no dialogue and they never mention her name. I think you just have to learn it through the internet. But you're going on this adventure with this wolf dog named Neva, and you start out with them as a little cub, essentially, and you go through different seasons, different chapters throughout the game, and you get to see them grow and gain new abilities. And you're fighting in this world where everything is starting to like slowly become overrun by this rot, almost. If you've seen like Princess Mononoke, it takes heavy inspiration from that.
A lot like the sort of the gloom and stuff from like Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it very much feels inspired by, Princess Mononoke, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I don't want to say Studio Ghibli in general, because it's quite a sad game in the early moments. But once you get past that, I think there's a...
I see you've never seen Grave of the Fireflies.
I have not yet. I think it's still on my list to purchase, but I will eventually.
Saying that Studio Ghibli can't be sad.
Oh, yes. Can be very sad.
I have seen things like Wind Rises, but yeah, Grave of the Fireflies will stab me in the heart. I'm sure. I've heard. But yeah, it's such a special game. I think it's something that shouldn't be missed. And even though it's a short run time, it's worth every bit of money you can throw at it, because it's just such a visual treat.
Well, you might be happy to hear that I already have the game. I just haven't had the time to play it.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
Oh.
Amazing game. Absolutely love it. And that's why I'm very, very excited to play Never. And it has more combat. That's something that Greece doesn't have.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see. And I was so close to include that game on my list. But there was just, I played a lot of bangers this year. And Sion, you also did.
It's time to jump to something a little bit more scary. Not too bad. Have either of you heard of a little game called Crow Country?
I have heard of it.
Yes.
Yeah?
I've been meaning to play it, but haven't.
That's the curse of 2024.
I've not been meaning to play it, but that's because it's scary.
Ooh.
So Crow Country is a Resident Evil PS1 N64 era survival horror from the team that made Snipper Clips.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah, I don't want to say that it's a parody of the genre, because it is still very scary. You're roaming around with limited ammo, finding shotgun shells for a shotgun that you don't even own yet. Enemies are popping out left and right. New enemies appear in areas where they weren't before. It follows a lot of the tropes of a standard survival horror game, but it's also taking like little like jabs at it from time to time. There's one instance where you encounter a painting and there's a hole in its mouth, and you go up and you can interact with tons of different things throughout the game. The dialogue is so funny. You go up to that hole and the character says like, "Oh, there's a hole here." I'm definitely not putting my arm in that, because in so many other survival horror games, like Silent Hill is infamous for like having this like disgusting sink or like a toilet full of toilet water, and it begs you to reach your arm in and you find a key or something. And I love that like for people that have like played a lot of games in this series or in the genre, that you're constantly kind of able to have a little chuckle. But it's still quite a scary game. You'll be in that same room with the painting. There's tons of windows and lightning will strike. And I jumped many times. There are like weird little kind of like sluggish piles of guts essentially that will crawl around on the ground. And I've jumped many a time. They squeal or they make a silly little sound. And it still manages to scare me, even though it's so low poly and it feels so old.
Well, I think sometimes, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's become such a trope now, is that low poly and sort of like low fidelity stuff can be more frightening because it's not as immediately recognizable. We see less detail, and that kind of, in our heads, that sort of lack of information is more frightening, and also things seem more unnatural as a result.
Yeah.
Less familiar, and your mind sort of fills in the gaps for what you can't see, and that's the scariest thing of all, is what you're trying to imagine. So I can see why that would work.
That's interesting too, because I think the story as well like plays into that, like into a similar mindset where like you play as this girl named Mara. You're going to this theme park called Crow Country, and the game doesn't even really explain why. It just tells you who you are and very little at that. And you go in and you're encountering different people that are also trying to solve a mystery or their own problems. The story is really interesting, and you're slowly being spoon-fed little breadcrumbs from the people that you meet and from different environmental cues or like a note that you found on a table. Another one that I don't have as much to say about this one. I'm more just thankful that it released officially. And that's
Mother 3.
I was just about to say.
I wish. And I would have so much to say about Mother 3. Starts with the same letter, though. This is the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. It's a game that's been long requested by fans. This includes way more than we ever, I think, would have imagined as like fighting game fans. You've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then a bunch of other like X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. games. It turns out Felix, who had never really played the games up until like earlier this year, you're quite the pro already at Marvel vs. Capcom. Remember when we were at that arcade and you were just crushing?
I was just gonna ask if that was the second one or which one we played, because I'd never, I'd seen you be very excited, and then we went to the arcade when I visited. It turns out Gambit is quite good.
I'm so glad you remember that specifically. Yeah, I also remember you just ripping it up as Gambit. That was the first one that we played at the arcade.
That was great fun. I really liked that.
The best thing about Marvel vs. Capcom 2 specifically is like it's so fun to like, it was so fun to walk up to the arcade or to play it at a friend's house back in the day and just see this like dizzying roster of characters. I think the game has somewhere around 50 characters, which I know is not like Super Smash Bros. Level of...
I was going to say last in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah.
They actually passed out if they saw that.
Right. I mean, that was, I don't know, 20 some years ago that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out. Oh my gosh.
We've eased up to the bigger roster,
Yeah.
Over time, they get bigger and bigger. So our tolerance to see that many characters on screen gets bigger.
I think it's the sort of game that like it was really easy to just sink more and more quarters in the arcade.
Yeah.
On MVC2 at least, you have like a party of 3 characters, and so you can constantly be changing up your roster. And so with the right group of friends, it's a lot of fun to like keep playing more and more and try out these new characters and see what your favorites are. And I think I'd love to sit down with you guys both and give this a shot sometime, because it's such a wild ride to go on. And boy, do I want to take you on that ride.
Do you want to take me for a ride?
Yes, I do, Alex. Yes, I do. And there's a physical edition. So now it's finally made it affordable to own Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Whoa.
I just checked on like on the online stores, and earlier this year, MVC2 was selling for almost $200 on the PlayStation 2 just for that game alone. And you get that and 6 other games in this collection. So it's kind of a no-brainer for fighting game fans. The last game on my list, though, which I know, Felix, that you had this one on your list as well. So I'm very thankful that I get to talk about this today. And Alex, I'm not sure if you did have it on your list, but I know it's something that you would love. And I hope that someday we all get to just kick back and talk about this game at length.
Star Fox
And it's
Zero.
Animal Well.
Oh,
Close, Alex. Close.
Have you gotten to play any Animal Well yet, Alex?
I haven't. No.
That's okay.
I'm sad now.
It's okay. Hopefully I do a good job of convincing you to.
I'll help out, Sion, because yes, this was actually on my list, and I got told, hey, someone else has it, and I have loads of other games to talk about. So
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Felix, for letting me talk about this one. This was something I was very much looking forward to, but it really caught me off guard. I guess it's a lot like Tunic in a way, where it's this game that you kind of maybe even actually like a lot of people maybe didn't know it was a Metroidvania, because you play as this little blob and you're in this kind of 2D pixel art world.
beautiful pixel world.
Yeah.
My God.
It reminds me a lot of like an old, like not DOS game, but the visuals are just so unique. I love how much it uses like just blacks in the backgrounds, and the colors pop so well. It's got the CRT pixel filter over the top, but you don't really know what you're doing at the start of the game. You don't have a weapon. You're just trying to run from everything. This is the kind of game that if you have Animal Well on your list, just stop listening to this video. We appreciate you. Leave a comment. Go away. With love. With love.
Come back tomorrow, but
It's best when played without knowing really much about the game at all, or when played with a friend. Like one of my favorite memories is just being able to talk with you, Felix, about the game, and a couple other pals that were also playing it at the same time, because you're constantly discovering like new items or talking with each other about like, oh, did you find this toy or that object? The map is designed so well that I feel like this is like the best map I've ever seen in a Metroidvania. Not that I've played that many games in the genre. The map is so helpful in the sense that like if there's a little dot on the map that you've not explored yet, there's a really good chance that there's actually something there. And it makes exploring the world so much more fun. And there's a really cool shortcut system that I don't really want to talk about either, because it gave me goosebumps the first time I discovered it. And thinking back about it again is also kind of giving me chills. And I finished the game. I swear I have, but anybody who's played Animal Well knows that there is so much more to do after you've finished the game. There's no dialogue, from what I'm aware, at least. I've still got things to do, so maybe there's a secret big cutscene or something. But this feels like the kind of game where, like, you guys know about the Ben Drowned story.
Oh yeah.
So there's the Majora's Mask Ben Drowned story of this guy discovering this weird, creepy Majora's Mask Zelda cartridge at a garage sale. He goes home and plays it and finds out it's cursed. Well, this game, it doesn't feel cursed necessarily, but it feels like something that I found on a street corner, popped into my console, and like it's such a mysterious game. It's so unique.
There's a lot of secrets. My God.
Yeah.
Like you said, it has multiple different, like, you can beat it and then no, you're not done. You think you're done. It's like, nope.
And I forget the game does get kind of creepy.
Oh
too.
yeah, there was moments where I was, it felt like a straight horror game. It was not having a good time. So I'm very sad that you weren't at PAX because you were sick. Because I actually got to meet Billy Basso.
That's
who made
right.
the game.
Yeah.
Yes, I got to talk with him about. Well, I specifically just talked about the different sound effects in the game, because the sound design of this game, it almost doesn't have any music, but it has phenomenal sound design. The way the water drips down the walls, the way the different animals have the echoey sound of it all. Even though it's a very unsettling game, I felt so, the Danish word is hyggelig, very cozy sometimes. It's very cozy sometimes. Just, you find a little water and then you just hear the water and just sit there for a moment. Or you find the phone where you can save and the music kicks in. It's like, I think my main gripe with the game though is, you said you love the map. I think the map is very big, and sometimes you're trying to find a little secret and it is just impossible to find. So you'll go around the map for hours, try all the different things, and it can be so frustrating. That's my main gripe. Otherwise, love you, Billy Basso.
I can totally see how. The game has so much backtracking, but I think for me, it always felt so rewarding to discover something new, especially even if it was something small. Like, I remember you and one of my other friends was like, hey, you found this thing. Did you try this with that thing yet? And like, it's totally like, it's such a playground game where you just want to talk with your pals about it, share little secrets, and go try that thing when you get home from school or you get done with work. For that alone, like, it is absolutely my favorite game that I played this year. And if you can, play it with a pal from start to finish. So Alex, whenever you get around to it, ask us all the questions.
Yeah.
Try to stay away from strategy guides the best you can. Don't feel bad for using them, because it's a very like confusing and tricky game.
There was times where I needed help and then I got the answer and I was like, I would have never thought of that. I'm very glad I looked up.
But when you do find the answer to something on your own, it's such a good...
feels amazing. Definitely agree with you.
Oh, and I want to make it absolutely clear that I will play this game. I just haven't yet, but I absolutely will. I promise you, this time next year, I may have played the game.
May have
on the next console.
Let's hold him to that. Well, thankfully, we won't have to wait long to hear your favorite games, Alex, as those will be releasing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, the games are already out, but your thoughts on them come out tomorrow.
That's true.
That's
true. I haven't got any future games in the list.
And now that we're at the end of this video, if you haven't already seen Felix's thoughts, caught his thoughts, you can go back and check that out right now. As you mentioned, Felix, in your video as well, we didn't have any duplicates this time, and I feel satisfied. I feel like I really got to talk about my favorites this time. So
definitely.
Thanks.
And it's always like you also get to talk about them. Like, for example, you had Animal Well. I still got to talk about it.
True.
So
True.
It's all good.
Yeah. Be sure to let us know in the comments down below if you've played any of these games yourself, or what your picks, what your favorite Nintendo Switch games are from the year 2024. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you make that subscribe button one of your favorite picks of the year 2024. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Alex and Felix, for joining me for this chat. I'm Zian from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next
time.